Jerry.
Hey, J-Rob.
You know what time it is?
It's time once again for that favorite show, Jerry and J-Rob.
Coming on! Hey! Woo! That's an intro right there. That's a professional right there.
That's great.
Sorry, I didn't mean to yell at you. I'm excited now. I'm awake now. How you
I
doing,
get
Jerry?
excited about this.
I do too.
I don't care if we do get kicked off of YouTube.
I'm all about. I'm kind of pushing for it right now.
It's a badge of honor, right?
I think so.
Anyway.
Why are y'all so terrible and nobody watches you? Because we got kicked off of YouTube. It's not because of our content. It's because we're rebels.
Yep.
You can't contain this. You can't contain this in a platform, in a single platform.
Is it just the one, or are you consistently getting kicked off now?
No, we're still good on podcasts. Nobody said anything there, but YouTube got the nasty grams.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
But the last one I titled that YouTube was terrible. I put that in the title so they could see it. And
That one's
And
still
it's
on?
still up.
it's still up.
Wow. Okay.
That's okay. Just don't talk about a COVID shot. Nah. Ooh. Blasphemy.
Oh, you just doomed this one.
Maybe
See?
so.
That's
Maybe
it.
so. Anyway.
Well, they don't actually listen to them. You know that, right?
Yeah, they don't.
Yeah.
They don't.
It was just from the title, I guess.
I don't know what they do. It's their artificial intelligence. I think all of them are artificially intelligent to begin with. But anyway,
So what's our topic today?
which brings me to our topic today, which is boundaries.
Boundaries.
And for those who don't know, this is our special guest, Stephanie Robbins.
Though.
She is my part-time wife, and she is here to help us out because we had a no-show today on our guest. Don't be a no-show. Come on. If you say you're going to be here, be here. Don't be that guy. So she's filling in, so thank you for sitting in.
Yep. You're welcome.
You going to sing
It
a song?
happens. Things happen.
Things happen.
No, I'm not going to sing a song. You can sing, though.
J-Rob has an amazing talent for singing.
I don't.
You do,
Maybe,
yeah.
Maybe I'm great at it. I don't know. I'm not going to say anything right
He's
now.
very humble, though.
I'm-
You
yeah.
sure?
So,
Yeah, I like the Muppets a lot, though. All right, let's move on. All right, preacher, boundaries.
boundaries. So
Expound.
Those are things that everybody has, whether they know them or not. But it's good to know what your boundaries are and set your boundaries so that other people don't have to set them for you.
Ooh, that's a good point to make.
So we were talking in our last show about freedom, and one of the ways that we can cultivate freedoms in our life is to have boundaries. And you say, well, that doesn't make sense. You're setting things up to keep yourself from, doing certain things, going certain places at certain times, whatever those boundaries look like. So, I mean, it could be as simple as having the boundary of at this time at night, I put my phone down and I wind down and I get ready for bed. Sometimes we have boundaries on the job where we have to, say no. Sometimes we certainly have boundaries in our relationships, right? And so we can either set those boundaries or have them set for us. For instance, we can either choose to set boundaries in our lives with the relationships that we have or the time that we spend on certain activities or in certain places, or we lose the freedom to set those boundaries. Somebody else makes those choices for us.
That's true. So I commonly speak to my lovely better half over here about not being a doormat to other people, because she has a caring personality where she wants to do and help others as much as possible to the point of her own detriment. So I like what you said, other people setting it for you, because they will. People will knowingly and unknowingly take advantage of you and what you have to offer. Whether it's, hey, come help me do this, come help me do that, can you do this, can you take care of this? We should try to say yes when we can, but we should also say no when it's not something that's conducive to our schedule and the things that we've got set forth and so on and so forth. I'm not saying you shouldn't take, breaks from things or shouldn't make exceptions, but making it a regular thing can become a problem.
I mean, if you find yourself saying yes too much, then you're going to weigh yourself down. And once you have a problem saying no, I mean, the person that gets hurt the most is you, right?
True. True. Back to you.
Absolutely.
So give me an example. Preacher, you're the preacher. You're supposed to say yes to everything because you're the preacher. I need you to come do this for me tonight.
Supposed to be available at all times,
24/7.
Right.
everywhere,
360.
all
I
things
don't-
to everybody, right?
I don't care that you have a supervisor position at another job and that you have medical stuff going on. You have to come help me because you're the preacher.
Right. So that is when we first began in ministry, there were times when it was overwhelming, the amount of time and energy that we were trying to put into ministering. All for a good cause, all for good things,
Right.
ministering and helping other people. But it was becoming to the detriment of our my wife and I's relationship. And so we had to sit down and together decide on some boundaries. And in doing so, we found ourselves having to use that ugly word that nobody likes to hear.
No.
No. And, it like you said a moment ago, people will knowingly, but most of the time it's unknowingly, right? It's not understanding that, not everybody's been taught boundaries, and not everybody practices boundaries, so you have to practice boundaries.
Right. And I've talked about this before, but the best example I have, and she can definitely vouch for it, is, I did air conditioning work for 25 plus years, and everybody knew I did it. So I'm always the first call when somebody's stuff is broke at midnight and it's hot in Texas and they want their AC to work. Well, they don't have a problem giving me a call and asking me, hey, can you come fix this when it's inconvenient for you? And also, we probably don't want to pay you. So is that cool? Just do it for free?
And can't get it done now.
Yeah.
Well,
can
and
you
all
do it right
that's
now?
pretty inconvenient when you have
Right.
a relationship and kids, and
It
you're
is.
dropping everything all the time, so
Right.
it could create some contention.
Right. And admittedly, I didn't say no. I almost always said yes. I said yes every time I could.
Yeah, you never said no.
And that was problematic. I felt a certain bit of ownership there that I should go help out whoever I can help out. But this is what these kind of things do. So if you own a business, or if you know a friend, you have a friend that owns a business or does something, sales, whatever, please don't take advantage of them.
Pay them.
Right.
Yeah, pay them what they're worth. Nobody likes that, and they will say yes because they're your friend and they want to please you. But that's definitely crossing a boundary
Sure.
and taking
Yeah.
advantage of them.
I mean, it's one thing if somebody offers services that
Right.
for free, but if you're expecting it for free and you're asking for the service and they're not wanting to pay, that's
True.
not okay.
No, it's not. It's not. So you set boundaries because it was an issue with your relationship, and also probably other things you had going on, probably time with your family and church priorities and whatnot. What is maybe something, and you don't have to use names or anything, but what's something in recent history that you can remember that you had to say no to? And maybe not necessarily a person, but just something.
Well, so with everything that we've got going on in our lives, so I'm a full-time pastor, I'm full-time employee, I'm a full-time father and husband, caregiver, and so I don't have a whole lot of time to spare, and I have to manage that time well in order to accomplish everything that needs to get accomplished, right? And so when I find that something is beginning to intrude upon set times, or even not just time, because we all have a bank of energy, and once we get to the end of that, there's not a whole lot more we can do, right? Whether it's physical energy, mental energy, emotional energy, we all pour and pour and pour until we can't pour anymore. And so that's a natural boundary in and of itself. But before I get to that place, I find myself setting boundaries. There's always something that is demanding upon that time and energy. And so, when I am in ministry, I have to make sure that, everybody that comes to me, they want my time, they want my knowledge, they want to counsel, whatever the case may be. So we set appointments for those things.
Right.
That's a boundary. Scheduling your day and scheduling your time and purposefully executing the time and energy that you have available is a boundary. And so when for instance, that's on the minister side. So on the work side, there are occasions when, because of circumstances, I may be called upon to put in a little extra time, and I don't have a problem doing that. But if it becomes consistent, then I have to sit back and go, look, I'm not that guy that's going to be working late every night or coming in on my days off. That's a boundary that I have. Relationally, just to give a boundary that my wife and I agreed on a long time ago is I do not counsel females alone.
Right.
That's just smart.
Absolutely. And even if it's somebody that I have known for a long time, I don't normally sit in a room with another female without my wife or another female present.
Admittedly, you're pretty irresistible guy.
I understand.
You're well known.
I understand the draw.
In Burnett, Texas.
I
Well known.
I see me in the mirror, so I
true.
get it. But that's a boundary that I've set for myself.
Very well. So when you said earlier, so you had these different hats, and you may not want to answer this question. That's fine if you don't. You have the minister hat, the work hat, the caregiver hat. What do you find is the most difficult as far as time consumption, energy, effort? What do you think? Which one of those three is your top one? No wrong answers.
So I would have to say placing boundaries where my profession is concerned. Only because I would rather be doing ministry or taking care of my family. I understand that I'm taking care of my family by working. And I have a great job. My job allows me to do some ministry even within the company for which I work. And so I'm very thankful for that. But again, and I had this conversation the other day with my supervisor that, with everything that I have going on, I can't be giving my all to my profession. I have other things that take priority in my life.
Very good. Very good. How about you? You're a mom, medically dependent kids. You're homeschooling. You got a coaching business. You got horse stuff. What do you feel pulls you the most? I'm going to say kids.
Kids definitely pull me the most, but I find myself having to set the most boundaries probably with health coaching, because everybody always has some sort of emergency in their mind. But, if we're being honest, there really is not any emergencies in health coaching. So I really have to be careful about my time and when I'm answering questions and when I'm available. People very easily and quickly take advantage of that, not purposefully out of, malice or anything, but they naturally will start to constantly text, constantly call, or expect you to be available 24/7.
Right.
And then get mad when you're not.
Right.
But, kids is a tough one because I want to be available for them all the time, but yet also teach them how to grow up and do things for themselves. So that's a really hard balance. You know this because you're always on me about that. But because Weston is the baby, he's the last one, so it's hard to let go of that. But you know,
So,
get it done.
so I have a question, and if you don't want to answer it, it's fine.
Let's hear it.
But that your husband is probably a real huge drain on your time and energy, right?
I don't think so. He's a great guy.
Yeah, I mean, it depends.
I say that jokingly. But what about you, J-Rock?
What pulls me the most? Everything. That's a hard question for me, just because I've got my hands on so many different things. I would say that my job can be very compromising, and it
Your
can
day
be
job.
my day job, and it can be problematic, especially because, like you said earlier, things happen and they have to be dealt with right then. There's no, let's put this off till tomorrow or move on. We have to act on things that are occurring in the moment with that job. And health coaching for me is not such a big deal because she takes a load of that off for me and covers that part. But then I have other businesses that can be problematic if things are not getting done or taken care of. So when we have construction projects or things like that going on and people aren't doing their job, or in the past I've been very bad about taking on everything with the projects, and I'm out there by myself trying to do all these different things, and that was problematic. Absolutely draining. Problem. I mean, it's just a problem for everybody.
So how do you set the boundary? Because you have your hands in so many things. How do you set the boundary and make your family a priority? Because that's a hard one for a lot of people, but you juggle it well most of the time.
Right, and I do for as many things as I have up in the air, which is a lot. There's groups I'm a part of. There's multiple business stuff that we do, plus my regular full-time job, which can, if I let it, that could be a
That could be a 24/7 thing.
Yeah, that could be
Yeah.
60, 70 hours a week easily, all the time. But I kind of keep that dialed down a little bit. I would say that probably under your direction, you forced me not to do things so much on my own. And I've gotten very accustomed to trying to streamline processes so that other people are doing jobs and not me. And taking a little less money, but having other people manage things so that it's not requiring me all the time. You know, like in the past, I never would have had a CPA or a tax advisor or anything like that. Now I have all those things, and civil attorneys that do stuff for me and things like that, that I don't have to try to figure it out on myself with some, legal work for dummies book online, which is something I always would have done in the past. Whether I had the money or not, it didn't matter. Just I always felt like I have to do everything myself. So that's part of it, and it's way more comfortable and easy to deal with.
I mean, it
we
hasn't
get
always been the case.
No.
So if you were talking to somebody who is in your shoes, the you of maybe 10 years ago, when you couldn't say no and everything was kind of strained because you're giving yourself to everything and everybody's pulling you in different directions, what would be your advice to somebody that's trying to make family a priority, but also, take care of business as far as the job or jobs that they have going on?
So me 10 years ago, which is a totally different frame of mind, but it's a totally different income bracket as well. So, people like Jerry and I, we didn't come from a bunch of money or anything. So we didn't come from having stuff. You had to fix what you had. You had to work on what you had. There's no, my truck broke down, I'm just going to buy another truck. No, you're going to go find some baling wire and some tape and make it work, whatever it is.
Especially if you have a Dodge.
Ooh, it's low
Ouch.
blow, buddy. Low blow. So I think that's learned behavior a little bit, coming from, we were not poverty or anything like that, but we were, at least in my very younger years, very low income, and then moving on, it improved. But I got out of the house at 18 years old.
Right.
You were
We
with
got
me.
married at
So,
18,
and
and
we didn't have any money. We didn't have nothing to do, and you had to make things work. You just there's no money,
Right.
so you figure it out. And that's I unfortunately had hung on to those attributes well into my late 30s, and what back to the question, what would I tell myself? It doesn't pay off. Is what I would tell myself. It doesn't pay off. You're going to work hard. Yeah, it's okay for a short time if you've got some specific project or something going on. It happens, but if you're trying to make that a regular part of your day and your life, it is not worth it. There's smarter ways to do stuff. There's more efficient ways to do stuff. Just think about it, work through the problem, and maybe hire somebody to help manage some of those things.
Do you feel like you ever come to the realization of,
It's like therapy right now.
yeah, this is great. I love this. Have you ever come to the
Raking you over the coals
realization?
also there, buddy. So.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Of being pulled all these different directions, but at the end of the day, all of those things that you said yes to, I mean, you just said not worth it, but kind of, can you elaborate on that a little bit? Because I feel like a lot of people are like that in their career, and they feel like, their job can't live without them and can't function without them, but the minute they step foot out the door, they'll replace them in a heartbeat. So
true.
they're kind of just a number.
So somebody taught me this not too long ago, but they said, I know you're talking to him, but I got to interject.
No, go for it.
If everything is a priority, then nothing is a priority.
That's right.
Yeah, that's good.
And so what are priorities? Well, those are boundaries. That's saying I'm going to give this more priority than this, and kind of listing those things in order of what's truly important can help us define that boundary where we're not giving ourselves to everything to the point where we're
Right.
completely strung out.
That's right. That's right. So to answer your question, it would be kind of two segments. Back then, my job, I wanted to be at my job, doing my job all the time, and I was very committed to it. So that was an internal issue, which, once again, back then, it was exciting to me to go do that stuff and do what I was doing, and I liked it.
I mean, looking back, was it worth it, devoting all the extra time? Did you feel like you missed out on
did it-
anything?
No, it didn't really matter. It's hard to explain that, but it didn't matter. So at the end of the day, it didn't matter. As far as like helping people and doing stuff, what ends up happening, and this is something I say all the time. Like, I would do stuff less than everybody else, for friends, for church, for whatever, and it was always those freebie jobs that got me. It was always those freebie jobs that
That's where everything goes wrong.
everything went
Yeah.
wrong. Everything was a hassle. It took me 2 more days than what it should have, especially the church. Church jobs were the worst. I don't.
There's a
I know.
reason for
I know
that.
what the
There's a
reason
reason.
is, but you
I hate
show
that
up-
it's that way too.
It is, yeah, I know it. But that's what would happen. We get on these jobs, and I would do something, and in fact, I helped put in multiple air conditioners at a former church of ours, and it was a big job. It's a commercial job. I'd not done a commercial job, but I did it because I was going to save them a bunch of money, and I did. I saved them a ton of money. But I mean, you want to talk about stress and keep me up at night and problems, and we did a good job, and
Yeah, but the devil swoops right in
yeah,
and makes it hard
just-
for you.
But it was just, lots of stress, and I was like, man, this is not worth it. It's just not worth it. So at the end of the day, it's not worth it. Figure out a way to streamline it. Do something different. It doesn't require every second of your life, and like you said, if it's a job situation, you're replaceable, unfortunately, no matter who you are.
Sound advice.
Yeah.
Back to you, Boundary.
Man, that's all I've got.
Well, I think it's a good topic, and it's something that requires, like we've talked about in our previous episodes, it requires being intentional about what you're trying to accomplish.
Absolutely.
It requires which we've talked about that in the past, and you've always got to check in with your coach or your circle of influence or whatever for sound advice, not make you feel good advice and butterfly kisses. It's reality check stuff. So
So and it's part of, you mentioned being intentional. It's part of living life instead of letting life pass you by,
True.
because it's going to pass by either way. It's part, it's acting instead of reacting. So the person who lives without setting boundaries is going to be reacting to everything. And so they're not going to have peace. They're not going to have time. They're not going to have energy. They're not going to have money. They're always going to find themselves discouraged, depressed, upset. Not that boundaries are the end all be all for cure for those things, but it sure does help
Right.
when you manage well and steward the resources that we've been given in a way that ensures that we're not, pouring out until we're past empty, dry as cracker juice, and nothing left to give.
I heard of that before.
So there's actually a great book called Boundaries that I haven't finished reading all the way yet, and I'll need to double check the author. Maybe you can post it
Yeah, I can put
in the
it in.
comments, but it's a really great book, and it goes into different personality types and how we let people abuse our boundaries and how to start setting boundaries.
Nice.
Very good. Any other sound advice?
I could ask you lots of questions, but we won't go into all that
Ooh,
today.
I just asked for advice. I didn't,
Look, you got to be careful bringing your wife on
I know.
the show,
I told you.
man.
I
There's-
asked you before we
wow.
started. Are
There's
you sure?
nowhere to run when
you
we're,
sure you
we're
want
on
me here?
recording like this.
Because it's like free range.
gotta be
You
careful.
know,
you're
can ask
uninvited.
anything.
You're
You've got
Uninvited.
you're gonna have to set some boundaries. Is what
Yes,
you're
that's
gonna
we're
have to
right.
definitely setting boundaries on this one. All right. Well, great topic. Appreciate you being here,
Yep.
filling in.
Sure.
And if we can do anything for you guys, please send us a message, send us an email. We'd love to hear from you. If you got a great story, we'd love to hear that as well. We say that every week, but we're not getting a lot of stories, so send us a story.
Definitely.
And that's all I got. Have a great week.
do. Till next time.
Bye.